Greetings, cinephiles. Are you looking for a movie analysis podcast that stands above the rest? Then look no further than Collateral Cinema, the only movie podcast that matters.
We analyze good movies, we analyze bad movies, and yes, we also analyze the in-betweens of the world of cinema.
So if you like what you hear, find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
And listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and wherever you get your podcasts.
And yes, my friends, we are 420 friendly. So when you listen to us, smoke it if you've got it. And now, here's a new episode of Collateral Gaming. The show starts right now.
I'm Ashley Chancellor, and this is a game launch edition of Collateral Gaming. Welcome to Collateral Gaming, the only video game podcast that matters, where we focus on good games, bad games, and everything else in between in the world of gaming. We are podcasting straight from somewhere in South Texas, and yes, my friends, we are a 420 friendly podcast, so whatever you have, smoke it if you've got it. And yeah, welcome to another Game Lunch review. I just really wanted to talk about this as it's a Zelda adjacent game. So of course we're going to talk about it, even if I've got no one else to talk about it with me. Fuck it. I'll do a solo episode on this. I don't care because this is one of the games I was anticipating this year. And I'm going to go ahead and say it did definitely deliver on my expectations. If not exceeded. But we'll jump into it. Today we are talking about Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment. So this is the latest Zelda and Dynasty Warriors crossover spinoff. So following the original Hyrule Warriors, which came out on the Wii U and then later the 3DS and Switch, Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, which came out on the Switch, and now we're here at Age of Imprisonment on the Switch 2. And so it's the third one in this in these spin-off games. So, and I've played the two previous ones pretty extensively. I did even I finished the main story for both of those games, and I've owned every single version of Hyrule Warriors, including the definitive edition on Switch. So yeah, I have a lot of experience with these. The original Hyrule Warriors was at its core, just Muso style game that incorporated Zelda characters from across the series, across the multiple timelines, and even original characters unique to this iteration of the of Hyrule and other worlds. But it kind of goes across the different Zelda timelines and pulls characters from games like Ocarina of Time and Twilight Princess. I always really enjoyed Hyrule Warriors, and I enjoyed how each version of the game added more and more characters from more games. And it's a game I've always found myself coming back to. It's great, and it runs pretty well on the Switch 2. It actually, I don't think it has any official update, but both it and Age of Calamity do run quite a bit better with the uncapped frame rate. So, so there are a lot of people that were saying that these games were borderline unplayable in the era of gaming that we're in, but Koei Tecmo aren't always known for having the best performance. But anyway, Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity then came out, and instead of covering the Zelda franchise as a whole, it decided to zero in on Breath of the Wild, which was the most current release at the time. And that was exciting. It was like, okay, we're going to get a Breath of the Wild Zelda Warriors game. That was fun. That was cool. I remember, though, a huge complaint of that was that, we were promised by Nintendo and Koei Tecmo that this would be a prequel to Breath of the Wild and tell out the events of the Great Calamity, which, a lot of people found surprising, and that actually made it more exciting to think that we might see an actual tragedy, a story that we know has a bad ending. But of course, they didn't go that route. Spoilers for that game, but it ended up being not canon. Well, everybody says it's not canon because we were promised that it was canon. The way I see it, it just takes place in another timeline, just like, Ocarina of Time has a split timeline. Here's a split timeline where someone went back in time and prevented the events of the backstory of Breath of the Wild, the Great Calamity. So that's what it was. And for what it was cool. And I understand why they made that change, because it's what enabled them to have the roster that they had. Just specifically dealing with characters from 100 years ago, I think was a task that seemed a bit daunting. So they really wanted to pull characters from Breath of the Wild and include anybody that you could think of that might work. And they really, really scraped the bottom of the barrel there with, they just really decided to take everybody, Monk Maz Kashia, and throw him into Age of Calamity. So that was cool, though. And then we even got characters from Breath of the Wild, like from the present, thrown in. And so, that's how they justified that. Fine. But Age of Imprisonment is different. If nothing else, they addressed that fan complaint, and they have made this officially canon. It is 100%, as far as I've played so far in the story. I'm in Chapter 4, completely congruent with what we were shown in Tears of the Kingdom. These are the events from, several thousand years ago or something, that were played out. The imprisoning war, maybe not the same imprisoning war that A Link to the Past talks about. I think this is probably a different one. There's a whole timeline discussion on that, but we actually get to see these events play out. And so far nothing contradicts anything that we were shown so far, at least, in terms of the narrative. And there are some consequences of that, of course, on the roster of characters. Now, we're going to be spoiler free this episode, so I won't I'll try not to go into too much specifics, but I mean, the fact that, like, for instance, you're not going to have Link in this game, right? Because Link is, canonically does not show up in the past with Zelda. That would break the timeline. So we're not going to have Link. Although they do find their way to have a Link stand-in. So you do have the construct character that looks and plays identically to Link, so that players like me that always liked Link and appreciate his moveset can continue to use him. So I'll go ahead and say that. You've got your Link stand-in. And that was featured in the promotionals, material and whatnot. But other than that, though, it's like, you don't have the characters from Tears of the Kingdom present. Instead, what they've opted to do is actually create an original cast of characters. So I knew that we would get Rauru and Sonia, and we'd actually get to see more of Minoru, and I'll talk more about her in a minute. And then I knew, of course, that we'd actually finally get to see all of the 6 sages and learn their identities. And in this case, the 4 other sages representing each tribe or race, the Goron, Zora, Gerudo, and Rito. And what was that was, I think, one of the more exciting things about this being set in the backstory of Tears of the Kingdom from 10,000 years ago or some shit, was that we'd actually get to learn more about these characters, because we didn't in Tears of the Kingdom. They were just kind of shown, and we knew that there was a member of each race that was a distant ancestor of the current sages that we were awakening in Tears of the Kingdom, but we didn't know much about them. Here we actually get personalities. We get to learn what their movesets are. When their movesets are very similar to their modern sage counterparts. More so than, for instance, the champions from Breath of the Wild. The sages in this game, in terms of their power sets, do seem to actually more mimic the sages in Tears of the Kingdom. So I think it's very neat that we actually get to see these characters and learn more about them, and even like their personalities and whatnot, and how they came to be in alliance with Rauru, and I guess kind of sort of how these different disjointed kingdoms basically joined Hyrule or would join. And that was cool. But in addition to that, we get even more. They actually really tried to pump out as many characters as they could this time. So they invented a bunch. And so essentially each tribe or race, in addition to a respective sage, also has at least 2 other members of its faction representing the main cast, using different weapons. So, like when you're exploring the Gerudo Desert, you'll notice that the Gerudo have scimitars, spears, and claymores. So we're going to get to see all of those weapons represented here for a specific character. And the Rito, the Rito use bows, but also the feathered edge and the feathered spears. And Zoras have, there are Zora swords. and Zora spears, and the Gorons even kind of have their own version of a spear and stuff. So, yeah, it's cool how we get to see actually all of the weapons represented here, and also additional members, so like additional soldiers belonging to each tribe, and that really kind of fleshes out the cast more. Now, they might be the characters that you don't really always want to use because you're like, okay, now I'd rather play as the sages or the other main characters, you know? But even so, I think that it's cool that they all have unique, distinctive movesets that may, you know, incentivize you to play as them and find a character that you like. But for me personally, I just kept doing the side quests, which are, you know, these optional objectives that they give you that pertain to each character and give you rewards. And so some of those objectives may be, you know, kill this many enemies as this character, or use this many unique skills as this character and whatnot. So it was a way for me to actually try out all of these different characters and kind of learn their movesets. And you're upgrading all of them too. So there was always a reason too, you know, it's like, okay, hey, I just, you know, spent some points into upgrading this character's weapon, or I just unlocked some new movesets and I'd like to try them out. So it is actually really cool. Or maybe you're like me and you kind of want to bring all your characters to a similar level. So you try to level everybody up. And it's easy to level grind in this game. The game gives you plenty of sub-objectives to do in between main missions that will stretch out your time and pad it out. And so I heard that this game gives you, you know, at least like 40 hours of gameplay. I've put quite a bit of time into this, and I'm only in chapter 4. So, but I'm doing like every little thing along the way that I can. But I'm finding that my characters are pretty high leveled and more than equipped for the challenges that are presented to them. I don't think I've seen a game over screen yet. So, you know, maybe that's just my experience with the game, but it hasn't been very difficult for me. But yet, it's still fun, and it still offers a challenge, and there's still just so much more to do every time I play that I want to keep playing. It's like I get through like a main story mission, and I'm thinking, okay, I'll put this down. But, you know, then a bunch of different objectives pop up on the map, and it kind of guides you to which ones you should do. In terms of like the UI and the way everything's handled, it's pretty identical to Age of Calamity. It's a very similar game to Age of Calamity in that respect, in most respects. This is just, you know, the Tears of the Kingdom adjacent version of it. And that shines through several of the mechanics. But to jump back to the characters, so far, you know, every character I've unlocked, I've enjoyed playing as, and I've enjoyed kind of, you know, learning each of their different play styles. Of course, my favorite is going to be the Construct, because, you know, that's our Link character. But I also have had a lot of fun, you know, with Zelda and Rauru, and Minoru was a really interesting character because she was the sage that kind of felt shafted in Tears of the Kingdom. We just played, you know, we just had her Construct as an NPC that we could use, and at that it was actually kind of a disappointing sage ability because it wasn't nearly as cool as we thought it was going to be. It utilized the resources too quickly, and or the Zonai devices, I should say. But here we actually get to see Minoru, you know, in her prime, in her peak, as an actual being, not just a spirit and possessing a construct. Now, that construct comes out during some of her attacks, but also so do Zonai devices and stuff. Because from what we learned about Minoru is that, yeah, she was a researcher during her time and was heavily proficient with Zonai devices and was inventing these things, and, you know, is the reason why we have those Zonai devices today. And all the characters can use Zonai devices, but hers are specifically incorporated into her moveset. And so she's throwing, you know, all these contraptions out, and she was just a really fun character to play. But her and the Construct both have a unique mechanic, and maybe other characters unlock this later, I don't know, where they can they actually can use Zonai devices like in their combo. So instead of having to equip the device and use it, and I'll talk about the Zonai devices here in a bit, but they're actually like part of their movesets, and so you just hit certain combos, and yeah, that was a fun little thing. And there's even like a fuse ability that the Construct has that's similar to, you know, the ability to fuse weapons and things in Tears of the Kingdom. But it's helpful for taking down enemy, you know, weak point gauges, and eventually more characters can learn that ability, which is cool. We see all of the different main abilities from Tears of the Kingdom here used. Rauru uses the Ultra Hand. Zelda uses Recall in her moveset. And it even actually becomes like a specific like mechanic that you can unlock as part of her moveset. And you have I even saw Ascend used in a cutscene at least. And of course, Minoru basically, I guess, is using the auto build skill essentially. And it's really cool. You even have a Korok represented here, and there's some really interesting story implications with him, I think, that are coming up. So I'm excited to see that. He's a fun little character too in his own right. I found myself more attached to the Korok than I thought I would. He travels along with the construct, and they're kind of a duo. And at one point early in the game, you have like two different factions of heroes, but eventually everybody kind of joins together, and that's where the game really started to come together for me. Who else? I think that's probably it as far as discussing the characters, and that'll keep us away from spoilers as well. But yeah, into the mechanics now, because the Zonai devices I've mentioned, in place of being able to use, for instance, the Sheikah Slate like in Age of Calamity, or the Pura Pad, might be what you might have expected, but no, I mean this is set fully in the past, so. Instead, they've actually incorporated the Zonai devices into this, and that was a core element of Tears of the Kingdom, and what really that was kind of like the big gimmick of that game. So that's been incorporated here. Every character can use Zonai devices, and they can be equipped. They can be used from a menu on the screen, but they can also be equipped to shortcuts, so you can use them quickly by holding down the R button and then hitting the face buttons. They can be assigned along with items or unique skills that every character has they're useful for exploiting enemy weaknesses. So every character, or most characters, will have a move that's effective against charging enemies, and enemies will have this like kind of like brief animation where they come up and they glow red, and there's a little cue that you're supposed to use a unique skill or a Zonai device on them. I'm talking about both of these because they come hand in hand. So yeah, each character will have an ability or have access to devices, if not, that's useful against charging enemies, against enemies that are up in the air. There's like an impact type element that's associated with certain skills and devices that is the equivalent of being able to blow shields up and or rock type enemies. So it's like big bombs belong to that category. And then there's kind of like the fans have this ability, and other unique skills have this ability to send projectiles back. And then there's, of course, some characters will have unique skills that are associated with their particular element, like fire, lightning, wind, or water. But most characters will have, all characters have access to Zonai devices like the flame emitters and lightning emitters and ice emitter, frost emitters that we used in Tears of the Kingdom. So you can use all of those, and those are fun. It was kind of interesting to see how they use each Zonai device. So it's like the fan can, send projectiles back to enemies, like I mentioned earlier. The hydrant, of course, is useful like it was in Tears of the Kingdom, taking sludge off of enemies, but also it's useful against fire enemies, such as in the same way that the frost emitter is. You've got the time bombs. You've got the rocket. That was cool. And the cannon, all of the different Zonai devices. And I'm unlocking more and more, as I play more, and it's fun getting to use all of them. So every character can exploit enemy weaknesses using these Zonai devices. Just like in Tears of the Kingdom, they run on a battery, but that recharges over time. And you've got an item that you can use that can quickly refill that. And you can even just find refills in the world, or when you set up camp on one of the main story missions, you can instantly refill it. So that's nice.
For years, I never knew my own strength. How to use this power, that is.
As you may know, she seeks a means of returning to her own time.
So, Lady Zelda, are you getting used to life here at the castle?
Oh yes, I've already learned a great many things from King Rauru and Queen Sonia, of course. Even at this early stage, it's clear that Hyrule is on good terms with the other leaders. Though, what of the Gerudo?
What indeed?
I finally have Rauru in the palm of my hand. It's time we witness the forbidden power that brought the Zonai to the brink of ruin.
Attacking such an adversary head-on would only lead us to greater misery.
I understand that. But what other choice do we have? Now, we march for battle! Your hearts beat for the glory of this resistance, then stand tall at my side and fight to reclaim Hyrule! My Goron brothers, I hope you're ready to have a bit of fun today!
Those of us Zora who are still capable want nothing more than to aid your quest to safeguard Hyrule.
Help someone up when they're down, and that kindness will come around, often when you need it the most.
That villain dishonors our name, and he shall perish by my hand.
The Light Zelda! Use its power!
We'll find strength in our allies and save these lands. So don't avert your gaze.
You can't seriously be thinking of playing hero here. But my bud here's got a mind of his own. Doesn't stop him if I tried. And trust me, I did.
Let's see how long you can keep up this struggle of yours, Raul. Attack!
But the Zonai devices are a lot of fun, and they add a lot more to gameplay. So not only do you have each character's moveset and unique skills that you're unlocking over time, but also the Zonai devices that just really add a whole lot more to it. Every character also has access to sync strikes. So, and every 2 characters has essentially a unique sync strike. Some of them are actually like specific to that duo, like a unique attack that you wouldn't be able to do any other way. But for the others, you know, they'll kind of just combine each character's abilities. And so each character's sync strikes will just operate kind of like in these halves, which is cool. So every character works with others. Even NPCs you can do sync strikes with. And then, you know, even some of the like the sages, for instance, actually provide passive effects, but you can do a finisher like you can in a lot of Warriors games. Like in I remember in the first Hyrule Warriors had a similar ability, but each one of these is kind of like elemental focused. So that the sync strikes are cool. Those are mapped to the L button. They charge up over time, but they refill more when you're fighting next to other characters. And you'll you know, if you're doing the side quests like me, it'll even like suggest to do sync strikes between specific characters, maybe even characters you wouldn't think about pairing together. So that's always fun. Before each mission, you can cook meals just like you could in Age of Calamity. But this time, instead of having like preset recipes, you can actually just pick from all of the materials that you have on hand. And they'll all just provide different passive effects. So you can increase your experience or your movement speed or how much damage your Zonai devices do or how quickly your special attacks or sync strikes charge up and things like that. And that can be useful also for doing those a side quest. Sometimes it'll even, you know, an optional objective may even be to use a particular ingredient. So I thought that was fun and added more flavor to each encounter and more that I could do with it. But yeah, I've actually been having a blast with this game. There's so much to do and it always holds my interest. And so far the story is interesting. The only thing for me, and this is good. This is going to be the consequence of them deciding to actually go the canon route this time and tell a story that's congruent with Tears of the Kingdom. But we already know everything that happens. So I'm going to say personally for me so far, now I haven't finished it, but I don't feel like the story is so interesting to me because I know exactly where it's going. And I feel like Tears of the Kingdom gave us, well, you know, all of the beats of that story already. We already know not even just the outcome, but, you know, just like all of the major plot twists and revelations that happen. It's like, okay, yeah, you know, we know what Ganondorf's gonna do. We know who's gonna die. We know how this is ultimately going to end up. But instead, we're actually getting to kind of see this on the ground level and actually see this story play out and get to know the players that are involved in it. And that's the cool part, getting to actually find out what these interactions were like. And, you know, the performances are pretty decent, you know, at least as good as the previous games, including Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, and Age of Calamity. And I guess the first Hyrule Warriors for that matter. This is the 4th game essentially set in the same Hyrule map. And so a lot of people are going to be fatigued by that. But I mean, again, this is, you know, because this is, you're not exploring an open map. So, you know, at least you're just kind of just going to these different regions. And we have the fact that this is set thousands of years in the past, so the geography is a little bit different, I guess. And of course, it's been adapted, for the Muso style. And like Tears of the Kingdom added both the depths and the sky to the map, this game does as well. Most of all the events and battles take place on the main Hyrule map. At least that's been my experience so far. But there are plenty of different sub-objectives and even some battles on the other planes. So that's fun. And you're even getting kind of to see some of these new types of enemies and bosses that we saw in Tears of the Kingdom. You know what? I don't think I've come across a Gleeok yet. I could be wrong, but I remember that was an enemy that was a major addition to Tears of the Kingdom. But like I've come across like the Frogs. They have their own new enemy faction too, like that are called Shades, that are interesting, and their own version of the Tears of the Kingdom dungeon bosses, which is cool. I won't delve too much into the spoilers of that, but there really aren't a lot of spoilers to get into, to be completely honest with you, because like I said, I mean, we know all the story beats, but I might as well save what little, few surprises there are in store. But what else? Oh, the performance. Yes. By far and large, this is the best performing and best looking Hyrule Warriors game so far. Actually, one of the better Warriors games in general in that respect. At least as far as technical performance. I mean, this one has everything beat. We finally have a Hyrule Warriors game at launch running at a pretty solid 60 frames. I mean, obviously there's going to be some drops when there's more going on, and there are a lot of things that were done to get that solid frame rate, and so there are some like low poly models in the background and whatnot. The cutscenes actually take a dip in both resolution and are locked to 30 frames, which is it's a little bit jarring, but you kind of come to expect that from pre-rendered cutscenes anyway. It's just that this game actually has those cutscenes a little bit more seamlessly blended in with the gameplay sometimes. So it's like, oh, okay, yeah. I've also heard that the co-op mode, I mean, it's cool that there is a co-op mode, even a split-screen local option, but I've heard both the split-screen local and the share play versions of this are locked to 30 frames, which is very playable still, but that 60 frames, it's a really noticeable improvement this time, especially if you turn your camera sensitivity settings up and you can just really take it all in, and it looks really good. I think the resolution only goes as high as 900p in docked mode, though, and that's a bit disappointing. Again, I think that was done to achieve that solid 60 frames, but at the end of the day, that's what I'd prefer. But I mean, it still looks very, very visually impressive. It is a pretty game. This is a game that I think is a good benchmark of what the Switch 2 is capable of. I mean, obviously, it could be optimized a little bit better, so we could have a better frame. We could have that 60 frames per second at a resolution that's more normal by today's standards. But even so, I mean, it does really run really, really well, and so I think it, at least in terms of performance, this is going to be kind of a kind of a benchmark to see what games like this are capable of. But as far as who I would recommend this game to, I mean, obviously, if you're not a fan of Muso games, this isn't a game for you. If you're just looking for more Zelda and you've never played a Hyrule Warriors game before, and you're a Zelda fan and you're looking for more Zelda games, this is not a Zelda game. I mean, it is a Dynasty Warriors game with Zelda paint like all the others. But Hyrule Warriors also does kind of have its own identity. And obviously, they've done what they can to incorporate the aspects of Zelda games or specific Zelda games, like Age of Calamity with Breath of the Wild, or this game with Tears of the Kingdom. So there's some cool stuff that if you're a fan of those games, you'll appreciate. But yeah, I mean, if you're not a fan of hack and slash, this is not the game for you. Is this even the Hyrule Warriors game that I would recommend first? I'm not sure, because I really feel like the original Hyrule Warriors is actually a really good entry point. But I mean, it's like if you really liked Breath of the Wild, I would have easily recommended Age of Calamity to you. So it's like if you really like Tears of the Kingdom and you want more Tears of the Kingdom adjacent content, and you do think you'll like hack and slash gameplay, then yeah, go ahead and give this a shot. If you have played the other Hyrule Warriors games, or if you're a fan of Zelda or Dynasty Warriors, then this is an obvious recommend. I mean, this is really Hyrule Warriors at its best. And for what it's worth, they've respected the timeline. Whether that's going to improve or hinder the game to you might be different. Like I said, there are some things to be said for the way that Age of Calamity did things, and that it was enabled them to expand the roster as much as they could. And you got to. It kind of adheres to the rule of cool in a lot of ways. This game, honestly, actually kind of is a little bit more respectful than that. I mean, it does follow the rule of cool in the sense that all these Hyrule Warriors games do, where it's like, we didn't see these characters just mowing down hordes of enemies like this. I mean, even Link in his prime doesn't do this, and yet Zelda can, or generic Hylian soldier, or generic Rito warrior. But even so, there's parts of it that you're like, okay, yeah, you're just here to have some dumb fun. But I want to say this, I feel like this does take itself a little bit more seriously than before, and that's good. Visually and technically very impressive. And yeah, it's a fun time. I really actually have enjoyed everything I've played of Age of Imprisonment. It's a game that's competed for attention against my most anticipated this game, Metroid Prime 4. So that's saying something. So there you go. I've been playing this a lot when and putting Metroid Prime 4 off, but also because I'm doing an episode on it, of course. But I haven't spent entire days just playing Age of Imprisonment, and those have been good times. So yeah. Definitely can recommend Age of Imprisonment to someone like me, I guess. So, yeah, that was our Game Lunch review of Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment. Next episode will be part 1 of our Metroid Prime 4 review, and that'll be a Game Lunch episode as well. And then part 2 will be our full spoiler review. So hopefully we can have both of those out by the end of December. Actually, as the time we're recording this, we should be recording part 1 tomorrow. So that we'll have that done very soon here. And then, of course, we'll have out our holiday special on The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past here by Christmas Day. On Collateral Cinema, we do have an At the Movies review out on Lost Horizon, which was we were sent a screener by Epic Pictures, and we watched that and did a review, and that was a good time. So go check that out. But also check out very soon our first Bad Movie December episode, and that is on the Buttercream Gang 2 featuring Cam Sully from the Jacked Up Review Show. That'll be out very soon. Hopefully, actually, I kind of want to get this out like tomorrow, so yeah, we'll see. But definitely by this weekend, as of the time of recording this. And then our next Bad Movie December episode will be Cade the Tortured Crossing, and we can we'll try to have that out by the end of December. Of course, our holiday special on Collateral Cinema will be Silent Night, Deadly Night, the new one that just came out. Abyss Gazing from Victims and Villains is supposed to join us for that, although there have been some complications, so we'll get the episode out one way or another. So they may or may not be involved, as they are generally on our holiday specials. We'll have a post-holiday edition of Collateral Gaming bonus round out soon, and that'll be covering the Angry Video Game Nerd 8-bit game, as well as a post-holiday edition of Collateral Cinema Director's Cut, talking about Adult Swim holiday specials. We'll have a year-end review episode out for both Collateral Gaming and Cinema as well. As far as Collateral Let's Play, which you can find on either of our YouTube channels, we did just get out a new Phoenix Wright Wednesday episode, and we were we started. Bo and I started Turnabout Samurai. That was a lot of fun. We also have started Shooter Saturday recently, so we have episodes out on Black Ops 7 and Battlefield 6, and our next one will be Metroid Prime 4. We also started, speaking of Metroid Prime 4, a new Collateral Let's Play segment, a new Collateral Let's Play series called Metroid Monday, and our first 2 episodes of that will also be Metroid Prime 4. So I recorded 3 sessions of the game back to back, and I'm releasing those as I've already released the first Metroid Monday, and then the next one will be part 2, and then part 3 will be Shooter Saturday. So yeah, we'll have plenty of Metroid Prime 4 Let's Play content as well, and then we'll move on to other shooters and other Metroid games. We'll also have a holiday special for Collateral Let's Play, where we plan to play Chronos: The New Dawn. So lots of Let's Play content coming out and out already. And we're already getting ready for our content in the new year, and I'm really excited for that. And if you want to support the show, we do have a Patreon where you can get exclusive Let's Play content that's not available on our general YouTube channel, or movie commentaries for Collateral Cinema. We haven't added to those in a while, but we do have some content there, so you can check that out if you are so inclined, or get you some Collateral Media merch on our store on Dashery. And we do have a Buy Me a Coffee as well. So you can listen to Collateral Gaming and Cinema wherever you get your podcasts. And you can help us rise up the ranks on Good Pods, or leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. We really appreciate that. And if you have any suggestions or any comments, or just want to link up with us, we're on social media as well. Blue Sky, Instagram, Threads, Twitter, Facebook. And those are the active ones. But I guess that is it. So with all that being said, I've been Ashley Chancellor. This was Collateral Gaming Game Launch. We are out. Collateral Gaming is a Collateral Media podcast. All music and game clips are owned by their respective creators and are used for educational purposes only. Please don't sue us. We're poor.